15 years. That's how much time has passed since the Na'vi drove the RDA, the human colonizers, off Pandora in what became known as the Great Battle. If you haven't watched our Avatar 1 recap, you need to do that right now. Because today's story builds directly on everything that happened in the first film. The war, the betrayal, the battle for Pandora. And if you don't know who Jake Sully is or what Awa means to the Na'vi, you're going to get lost. Fast. The Sky People were expelled. The forest breathed again. And Jake Sully, the former human marine, who gave up his body to permanently inhabit his Na'vi avatar form, became Olo Egtan, chief, leader of the Omaticaya clan. But here's what's interesting about where we find Jake at the start of this film. He's not a warrior anymore, he's a dad. And for the first time in his life, that terrifies him more than any battle ever did. Jake and Neytiri have 4 children. Let me introduce you to the family because each of them matters deeply to this story. First, Nediam, the eldest son. Responsible, dutiful, always trying to do the right thing. He's the one you instantly trust. Then there's Loak, the second son. Impulsive, reckless, the kind of kid who runs toward danger instead of away from it. And honestly, he's the heart of this whole movie. Their daughters, Tuk, the youngest and full of life, and Kiri, who is adopted but in the most extraordinary way possible. Kiri was born from the body of Dr. Grace Augustine, the scientist from the first film, while Grace was in a coma. Her father? Unknown. That mystery becomes one of the most haunting subplots in the film. And then there's Spider, full name Miles Socorro. He's human. He's the biological son of Colonel Quaritch, the man Neytiri killed at the end of the first film. Spider couldn't be taken into cryo-sleep as a baby, so he grew up on Pandora alongside the Sully children, running barefoot through the jungle, speaking Na'vi, living Na'vi. He's as close to Na'vi as a human can get without actually being one. Neytiri accepts him. Jake accepts him. But that acceptance has limits, and those limits are about to be tested. This family is the story. Remember that. And then, the sky turns dark. A fleet of human spacecraft descends on Pandora. Not a scouting mission, not a small team, a full-scale colonization force. The RDA is back, and this time, they're not here for unobtainium. They're here because Earth is dying, and humanity needs a new home. They begin clearing the forests. They begin building cities. The invasion is no longer military. It's existential. Jake rallies resistance fighters and launches guerrilla attacks on human operations. But in a secret facility, something else is happening. Something that should have been impossible. Colonel Miles Quaritch is alive. Not exactly. His body is dead. But before he was killed, the RDA had been secretly uploading the memories and consciousness of key personnel as insurance. Quaritch's memories were implanted into a recombinant, a Na'vi clone body. He wakes up blue-skinned with a tail, with Na'vi strength, but with every memory of the man who died. He remembers Jake. He remembers his defeat, and he wants revenge. But there's something else, something unexpected. He also finds out that Spider, his biological son, has been raised by the Sullys, a son he never knew, a son who hates everything he represents. Quaritch and his squad of recombinants are assigned one mission: find Jake Sully, eliminate him. Meanwhile, Jake's boys, trying to prove themselves, go on an unsanctioned scouting mission that goes badly wrong. Loak nearly gets his brother killed. Jake is furious, not cruel, but terrified, because every reckless move his sons make is a reminder that he could lose them. Neytiri tries to calm him. You're training soldiers, Jake, but they're still children. She's right. And deep down, Jake knows it. But then, the worst happens. The children wander into the jungle and end up at the site of the great battle, the very spot where Quaritch died. And Quaritch, following intelligence on Jake's movements, arrives at the exact same moment. He captures the children, and when he comes face to face with Spider, his son, he hesitates. Just for a moment. But a moment is enough. Jake and Neytiri arrive and fight their way through, rescuing most of the children, but Spider is taken. Quaritch brings him back to the human base. Not as a prisoner exactly, more like a project. Jake faces the hardest decision of his life as chief. He knows that if Spider talks, and if Quaritch breaks him, the location of the Omaticaya clan is compromised. His people, his home, everything he built, gone. So he makes the call no leader wants to make. He runs. He steps down as clan chief. He packs up his family and takes them to the other side of Pandora, to the sea, to the territory of the Metkayina, an ocean-adapted clan of Na'vi who live on reef islands and dive the depths of Pandora's oceans. The Metkayina are different, broader tails for swimming, slightly different features, and a culture built entirely around the sea. Their chief is Tonawari, calm, wise, powerful. His mate is Ronald, formidable, sharp, and immediately suspicious of the Sullys. And she has reason to be. Because wherever the Sullys go, the Sky people follow. The clan isn't exactly welcoming. Tonawari's son Aonung and his friends make life difficult for the Sully children, especially Loak, who keeps getting into trouble. But this section of the film is where everything opens up. Loak, while being bullied and stranded in the open ocean, is saved from a massive predator by something unexpected, a Tulkun, a creature the size of a whale, with intelligence that dwarfs humanity's. The Tulkun are not animals. They are ancient, emotional, spiritual beings, and they have a sacred bond with the Metkayina. They are essentially the Na'vi equivalent of gods in the ocean. The specific Tulkun who saves Loak is named Payakan, and Payakan is an outcast, shunned by his own kind, branded a killer. Loak doesn't believe it. He forms a tsahelu, a neural bond, with Payakan, and through shared memories, he sees the truth. Payakan didn't murder anyone. He fought back against human whalers who were killing his family. The Tulkun's code of nonviolence forbids retaliation. But Payakan couldn't watch his family die without acting. He was punished for having a conscience. This connection between Loak and Payakan is the emotional soul of the film. Two outcasts who found each other. Meanwhile, Kiri's story is unfolding in parallel. Kiri is drawn to the ocean's spiritual energy in a way no one else can explain. She dives into the reef and connects with the underwater Tree of Souls, the Metkayina's sacred site. And in a vision, she sees Grace Augustine, her mother. But when Kiri asks Grace who her father is, the vision shatters. Kiri has a seizure, nearly drowning. Back at camp, Norm and Max, old allies from the first film, have tracked down Jake to warn him. Kiri cannot connect with the trees again. Something about her biology makes the bond potentially lethal. Who is Kiri's father? The film doesn't answer that yet, but the implication is enormous, and it hangs over every scene she's in. Quaritch has been watching, and he's figured out how to draw Jake out of hiding. He's learned that the Tulkun are sacred to the Metkayina. More than sacred, they are family. So he does what the RDA does best. He hunts them. Working with a ruthless human whaling crew, Quaritch launches an assault on a pod of Tulkun. What follows is one of the most gut-wrenching sequences in the film. Massive, ancient, peaceful creatures being harpooned and slaughtered. Ronald's spiritual sister, the cow of the pod, is killed. The Metkayina are devastated. They want war. Jake talks them down, barely. He knows a frontal assault on the human ships means annihilation. The Na'vi cannot win that fight on human terms. But Quaritch isn't done. The children, Loak, Tuk, and Metkayina, Princess Tsireya, have gone to warn Payakan about the hunting dart that was shot into him. They find him being chased by the whalers. They try to help. They almost make it. But Quaritch catches them. Now he has Jake's children, again. And this time, he's calling in his terms. Everything converges on the whaling ship. Jake and Neytiri, Tonawari and Ronal, a fleet of Metkayina warriors, and Payakan, furious, loyal, ready to die for Loak. Quaritch makes his ultimatum: surrender Jake, or the children die. Before Jake can respond, Payakan makes his move. He slams into the whaling ship, tearing it apart, giving Jake and the others the opening they need. What follows is an all-out battle. The ship sinks, fires burn, characters fight through flooding corridors and open water. And in the chaos, while Spider manages to sabotage the ship's controls to free his siblings, Neytiri is shot. Jake pulls his eldest son from the water. Neytiri dies in his father's arms. The warrior who always did the right thing, the responsible one, the one you trusted, gone. And the film holds on that moment. It doesn't rush past it. The battle isn't over. Quaritch recaptures Kiri. Neytiri, shattered by grief, burning with rage, captures Spider and uses him as leverage against Quaritch. Emotional warfare. In the final confrontation, Jake and Quaritch fight underwater as the ship sinks around them. Jake gets the upper hand, choke hold, but nearly drowns himself in the process. Loak and Payakan pull him to the surface. Kiri calls on her marine companions to guide Neytiri and Tuk safely to land. And Spider, in searching the wreckage, finds his father. Quaritch, nearly unconscious, close to death. Spider saves him, but he refuses to go with him. He chooses the Sullys. He chooses Pandora. He goes home. The Metkayina hold a ceremony for Neytiri. His body sinks slowly into the cove of the ancestors, coming to rest on a bed of glowing coral, the same sacred ground where the Tree of Souls pulses beneath the waves. The family's broken, but they are together. Jake visits Tonawari. He tells him the Sullys will be leaving. They've brought too much danger to Metkayina's shores. Tonawari doesn't let him finish. You are Metkayina now. This is your home. And Jake, the man who spent his whole life running, first from Earth, then from the RDA, then from his own past, finally stops. He accepts that he cannot outrun Quaritch, cannot outrun the war. So he will face it, here, with his people. The film ends with Jake narrating over stunning imagery of Pandora's oceans. Wherever we go, this family is our fortress.